Hey, Vinnie, it is great to be with you here today. Thanks for having us back. I know it's been a while since we had an update from Rimini Street. So, just apologies straight off for that. We have a lot we want to share with you today. Um, my name is Scott Hayes. I am in product marketing here at Rimini Street, and I've been here for about 5 years. And joining us today for this update is Frank Reneke. Frank, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm Frank Reneke. I've been at Rimini Street about 12 years,
Wow.
and I've recently been promoted to the Group Vice President, Principal Product Manager for Oracle Applications and Technology. And I'm coming to you today from my kitchen, which has the flowers from my son's wedding. I didn't want to get rid of them, but hopefully they look nice there, Vinny.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
Scott and Frank, great to have you guys. Scott, like you mentioned, it's been a while since Rimini presented. So I know you guys have had quite a bit of, I've talked to Dave Rowe a couple of times. You guys have had a fair amount of momentum. So look forward to this update.
Yeah, good. Well, let's get right to it. What I'll do, I'll talk a little bit at the company level and some things that have changed, and then spend a bit of time on what's going on with SAP and what we're doing with our SAP clients and prospects. And then I'll turn it over to Frank to talk about Oracle. So, just starting at the top level with kind of a company snapshot. We're still growing, Vinny. We're growing fast, double-digit growth year over year. We're now, we eclipsed 400 million in annual revenue a couple of years ago. We're over 2,000 employees, over 5,500 clients served since our inception. And one of the newer stats is that of the clients we've served, over 200 of them are on the Fortune 500 or Global 100 list. So we really do have a marquee list of clients who've decided that this is the way to go with their enterprise software strategy. And I'll get into some of the details of what we're doing here, but at the high level over here on the right, you can see over time we've saved clients a lot of money. We keep track of that, actually. It's something that's really part of our model, is helping those clients save a lot of money. So $8 billion to date. And we really do have a solution that applies across industries. It's a horizontal solution. Anyone running, complex mission critical ERP software or related software can benefit from our services. So we have a great footprint. Manufacturing happens to be our largest sector that we're in. And I think it's because of the size of those organizations and the complexity of their ERP solutions and the number of customizations that they do. They tend to highly customize their software, and we support that, of course. And then our presence geographically is also spread out a little over 50%.
That's actually, that's impressive to see how big APAC is.
They have been, they're very big users of both SAP and Oracle. And so we've had a lot of success there, particularly in Korea and Japan, but also throughout Southeast Asia and a little bit in Taiwan. All right. The solutions portfolio has grown. We're no longer just support. That's where we started, of course, was a better model for enterprise software support. And we had, originally started the company doing that for Siebel way back in the day. And as the market changed and acquisitions were made, we really settled in on a full suite of support for Oracle applications, and Oracle database, and SAP applications, and SAP databases. And then what happened, Vinny, was our clients were very satisfied with our services and wanted us to expand. They brought us into some of these other services, and the first one was managed services. So in addition to providing, ITIL level 4 product support, we were now going to offer ITIL level 3 and level 2 managed services to run and optimize and keep applications up and running and performing and configured properly for the organization. So those managed services typically would have been provided either in-house by a client or by one of the systems integrators. And we moved into
quite a few offshore firms did that, right? And
say that again, Vinny?
quite a few offshore vendors offered that service.
Oh, yes. Sure, sure. And we have a global presence, right? We've got operations in a lot of countries. So we use a methodology called follow the sun, and we keep the freshest, on the clock employees working in their hours and are able to help our clients, whether it's a support ticket or a managed service ticket, it doesn't matter. We can traverse that up and down throughout the organization, around the clock and around the world, 24/7, 365.
Hey, Scott, can I add one thing? I
Yeah.
think this team might be interested in the fact that we've grown so much on the managed services side. We've got over 100 clients now globally, and we're servicing people in just about every geography around the world. But we're not just doing it out of India. We have a Rimini Labs in India, Rimini Labs in Brazil. And many of these managed services offerings that we're doing, we're actually got people on site in the client's building or in the client's office actually providing that support. And when you combine Rimini Support and Rimini Manage, that has a special name at Rimini Street, you become a Rimini One client.
And you're also a little more automated than some of these systems integrators, right? When it comes
Well,
to
you're very efficient. You're very efficient, and you can do better on the response time. So getting back to people, because you're not passing things off. The typical managed services support model is built on the fact that, you're going to stop the clock when you have to go back to the vendor to ask them a question. And they may not respond for a day, a week, or a month on a particular ticket. At Rimini Street, we keep the clock ticking and we measure everything from a response perspective, 24/7, as Scott said, around the clock, to make sure that we're giving the best support possible.
Yeah, that's truly a unique model because the SIs are not providing the support. In fact, when the SIs are engaged with one of our clients and we're providing a support, it's often not the client that calls us, it's the SI that calls us because we're their support partner. But when we can put that together in what Frank rightly says is a Rimini One service, it's unified between managed and support. So managed is growing very fast. And by the way, we do cover cloud products like Salesforce and SAP cloud products like Ariba and Concur SuccessFactors. You can see there. But the manage is growing very fast. The Rimini Consult practice is growing very fast. So our clients have just said, hey, you guys understand us. You understand our software, our technology, our business processes. We would love for you to manage more. We would love for you to help us do more. So, from just running the business to evolving the applications to even transforming parts of the business and the technology, we're there with all of those. And then just real quickly at the bottom, Rimini Protect is our set of solutions for security. So very important to have that in multiple layers, proactively protecting the organization's applications and data. Rimini Connect is making sure that those applications, no matter how old or what they were originally certified with in an environmental perspective from the vendor, you can carry them forward. So if you want to take advantage of a newer operating system than that piece of software was originally tested and certified on, we have a Rimini Connect solution that plays that interface between the two and can make that older software work on a newer operating system or with a newer browser or different browsers or different email interactions. We can make that happen with Rimini Connect. And the Rimini Watch is an observability, making sure that everything's going well. You talk about automation, that's an automated way to make sure that things are performing and are ready for every day's work. All right, let me move on. So the Rimini One, having all of these services not only unifies it, but it really doubles down on what happens when somebody moves off of vendor support and enjoys the freedom of following a business-driven roadmap with third-party support, no longer on the treadmill of upgrades and patches. You can instead focus on, hey, if this stuff is working and it's complex and it's customized, we don't have to change it. We don't have to retest it. We don't have to deal with the disruptions of upgrades. Rather, we have the freedom to take that money and that time and that stability and build upon that and do what we need to do with our business roadmap and our IT roadmap. And you can accelerate that by doing it now, not waiting for some new, feature to come out, maybe from the vendor at some point in the future. Instead, get that right now. What we're seeing is that companies are are finding that they're truly best of breed applications around the core ERP. So they might keep their stable financials in place, their order processing in place, perhaps their manufacturing operations in place, but they say, you know what, we want a more modern CRM, or we want a more modern HCM, or we need something special in supply chain and logistics that helps us have a more resilient supply chain. And we say, absolutely, do that now by putting together a suite of applications that work for you, not just following a single stack from a single vendor.
Scott, that is a strategy. When I wrote SAP Nation 10 years ago this year, I had the strategy called ring fence. I say,
okay. And so this worked for you?
And what I've been absolutely amazed by is when I talk to some of the bigger companies, they have 30, 40, 60, 70 cloud applications around their core ERP, right? I never intended to be that, those many surround applications, but that's the reality. Core ERP has not grown, so customers are saying, I need that from, a nimbler provider. Yeah, so.
Exactly right. And the technology to integrate has made that possible. Before it was really tough. And now it's very possible to do that and put together something that works. And what's happened, Vinnie, that we've seen is that the line of business leaders now have a seat at the software roadmap decision-making table. They're saying, I'm the CRO, I'm the CMO, I can no longer live with, the CRM that we're using. We need a better one. Same thing with HR leaders coming in. So we're seeing that, CIOs are really inviting their business partners to be part of it because they realize nobody has to stick with a single vendor ERP stack anymore. Just a couple of updates on our results from a client perspective. So very high client satisfaction. We survey our clients after each case is closed on 7 different facets of that service, and 4.9 out of 5.0. We're very proud of this. And then our responsiveness is just amazing. While we do have very fast SLA for responsiveness to P1, critical house on fire issues, 10 minutes we'll be in touch with you. We've actually done better than that, not only for P1s, but for P2s. In 2023, our average response time was 71 seconds. Wow. This is amazing because we're not talking about, hey, we got it, just that kind of response. We're talking about you're engaged with an engineer that has a tremendous amount of experience, probably is familiar with your environment and your organization and your customizations, and you're engaged with that expert on an average in 71 seconds for P1s and P2s. It's amazing. And then this is a unique SLA for us, and that is a cadence for case update communication, so no black holes. So we're on the hook for making sure you're updated on the progress of your case on a regular cadence. And for P1s, that's every 2 hours, around the clock, 24/7. And our results here are amazing. We sent out over 500,000 case update communications last year with a 99.99% on-time performance. So we're very proud of not only the people that deliver this, but the systems that are behind them, the technology we put around them to help them be, superhuman in their experience that they deliver to our clients. All right. I'd love to spend just a few minutes on SAP, and then I'll turn it over to Frank to cover Oracle. We now have served over 900 SAP clients, again, around the world, many industries. But some interesting things are happening with the SAP ecosystem and SAP strategy. And SAP has made it very, very clear that they want all of their clients on ECC, Business Suite 7, to move to S/4HANA. And many of them did. It was introduced many years ago, and many clients took them up on it and moved from ECC to S/4HANA on premises. But now SAP's strategy says, no, we really want you in the cloud, really. We really want you on subscription. And most of the S/4HANA on-premises clients are still owning and operating their perpetual licenses, and they'd like to terminate those and move them to subscription for obvious reasons. It's really good for SAP as a company and for its investors, but it's not necessarily good for its clients. So you see here some level of adoption, but there's still 2/3 of ECC customers have not yet committed to going to S/4HANA and sign those license agreements.
Don't you find it's also partially infrastructure decision? Because companies are moving to hyperscalers for other applications, ERP decisions become a lot easier in the last couple of years than it would have been 5 years ago. Are you seeing some of that?
Yes. In fact, we've helped some of our clients move their ECC or even their S/4HANA to a hyperscaler contract, but they're keeping their perpetual license, right? Yeah, that's just a rehosting, if you will. And you know, there's all kinds of economic issues that come into play when you take, you know, you've paid for your house, you got the title for it, and now you're going to, you know, give that up and start renting from a landlord in an area where there's no rent control. So the economics really change the picture. That's not the case if you're just going to move from, you know, your own data center to a hyperscaler as the foundational platform.
Well,
So,
you know, nothing about SAP, nothing in the SAP world is ever simple, right? So this is another set of analytics and value analysis customers have to do.
yeah. So we think in the next couple of years, we have a tremendous opportunity to help these clients who are now facing some 2025 and 2027 deadlines, depending on what version they're on, for mainstream support ending. And they're feeling like they're about to run into a brick wall. And what we do is give them some time. So, you know, we've diagrammed out which versions have 2025 deadlines, which ones have 2027 deadlines, whether there's an extension offered or not. And Christian Klein has come out very clearly to say, even though we extended these once before, we're not extending them again, right? So they're now feeling the real pressure, one, to move, two, to give up their perpetual license, and three, how am I going to have continued support? You know, I might have to pay more money. Could be an extra 2 percentage points, which is 9% of that cost, or even 4 percentage points if you're on one of these S/4HANA. It's a lot of money, and they now realize they're doing that. So we think right now is a really good opportunity for us to get this message out that you can buy yourself some time. You don't have to just move because of the end of support. Rimini Street will carry on that support. I mean, we're at 2024 now. We'll do it for 15 years for whatever version you're on. And during that time, you know, you can save a lot of money. You can get full support, not just for whatever version you're running, but also for the customizations that are there. So our simple message is buy yourself some time, save yourself some money. Don't jump into that land rush of trying to find SAP experts that understand both ECC and S/4HANA and can help you make that jump right now when they're going to be in short supply and high demand.
Yeah, the third point is especially I've been talking to a lot of automation vendors about, you know, the move to S4, and it's starting to happen, but it's still very people dependent, and so.
Yes. Yeah, I've been tracking that market of, you know, SAP experts and some of the consulting firms that are out there, and truly, even on social media, they're saying, this is going to be very profitable for us in the next couple of years, and I can see that. I think it's going to be hard to find the best people and get them attracted to your project and keep them until you're good to go. So we just want to take the pressure off, right? So help clients reduce costs, defer the risk and expense of trying to do a thing. And we're not saying you shouldn't do it ever. We're just saying maybe now's not the right time. And then ultimately, though, think about keeping your perpetual licenses and avoiding that vendor lock-in that comes with signing an agreement for RISE with SAP that includes giving up your perpetual licenses, going to subscription, bundling in the hyperscaler agreement, because that's now brokered through SAP. It's not your individual contract with the hyperscaler. All of that gets rolled into one contract, and that could be very difficult to unravel down the road if you wanted to take a different path. And so we offer this, what we call the Rimini Smart Path for clients, that does reduce costs and defer expense and avoid that lock-in. And our clients are just seeing that. They're just taking a breath and seeing that they can invest where their business needs investment now. They're seeing better service. They're seeing support for their customizations. They're feeling a pressure removed from not having to lose their support or pay more for support because of a deadline. And then finally being able to redirect those funds to what their business needs right now, which may not have been what SAP was going to deliver. So before I turn it over to Frank, any other questions on the SAP side, Vinnie?
No, I mean, it's nice to have a choice, right? Customers, like you say, are facing a wall, and it's nice to have a choice.
On the Oracle side, I just want to say that we continue to grow and support Oracle applications, actually expanding the number of applications that we're supporting. In my new role as the senior product manager for Oracle applications and technology, one of the things that we're doing differently now in 2024 is we're saying yes more. All right. Oracle has thousands of on-prem applications that we can support. And we want people to feel encouraged about bringing those to Rimini and let us Rimini-tize them and offer our same award-winning support. So many of the Oracle customers are in a transition period, right? They're trying to figure out, are they going to stay where they are and move directly to SaaS? Or are they going to move to Oracle's cloud infrastructure and run in a hybrid environment and connect different SaaS applications to that environment? And Oracle's kind of approaching it a little bit differently than, say, others like an SAP perspective that have a hard date. Oracle has a rolling 10-year kind of a window that people can make that transition. The interesting thing about that rolling 10-year window is they haven't changed the way they do support one bit. All right. It's still the way it's always been. All right. You're still a portal first kind of application. You got to go and do your own research, find your own self-service materials to kind of work a ticket. You're going to be put on hold most of the time when you call support. As an ex-Oracle consultant, it used to just drive me nuts when I was working on site and one of my clients that I would call in with a problem, and I knew exactly what the problem was, and I knew pretty much where to go to fix it, but I couldn't get to a developer. And every time I called in, I had to tell them who I was, where I was, what the customer CSI number was. I explained to them, give them everything about it on every call, even if I had just talked to them an hour ago. They didn't seem to ever save that information or didn't want to save that information. They wanted to recapture it as their criteria if you're actually talking to somebody. Just seemed like a nonsensical way. Whereas the difference at Rimini Street, we know who you are, we know what version you're running, we know what operating system you're using when you call. We don't have to ask any of those intake questions. We get right down, tell us what your problem is. All right. Let us dive in. We're actually connected to their systems, which is very different than the way Oracle does everything over the shoulder or doesn't even look at your system. They try to rule out problems. If it's customized in any way, they don't want to support you. They tell you that you have to go back to your vendor. It's just a very, very different support rule in the way that we do it from that perspective. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that contrast. And Scott, take me to the next slide and we'll dive a little deeper on what we are continuing to do from an Oracle perspective here. Now, I think this is important as we branch out and we continue to support additional Oracle applications. Oracle applications users are not stuck in time. They can continue to purchase additional licenses. They can add products and services from Oracle. They don't have to get them all from one place per se. They could even add, their HCM cloud product to a product that's under our support if they so choose. It's all up to them. That's the nice thing about being under Rimini support is you're independent from the vendor. And we've been saying that for 15 years, but I don't think people really understand what the value of being independent is. It means that you're not locked in. You get to make your own choices. You can have your smart roadmap kind of going forward. And, maybe with the savings that you're getting from a Rimini Street perspective, maybe reallocate those funds and create your own AI project. I got to tell you, I was just on the phone the other day with a client in Malaysia that's under our support, and there's be a video coming out for them soon. But the CIO, all he did was talk about how Rimini Street was so helpful and what they were trying to do, that they've done exactly what I'm talking about. They've taken the savings that they're getting from Oracle support and applied that to now building AI within their existing ERP. Because it's interesting, all the vendors are talking about AI right now, but they only are talking about it in their newest products, their SaaS products.
Right.
So if you want to put AI in your existing ERP and you want to keep running that for the next 15 years, it's kind of up to you. So at Rimini Street, we're right on the cutting edge of that. We built some AI products for our support services many years ago, and we can continue to use them. We've actually even gotten patents for the way some of those things work. And we can consult on and help customers and make sure that they're getting the right tools and technology in their ERP to really keep it updated and, surprisingly competitive with some of the newer products, right down to the UI. We can even help them update the UI on some of these older products to keep them more competitive. So it's really interesting in the way that it's working and how it's happening from a products and modules perspective and cloud applications and services, and all is kind of coming together finally, Vinnie, from that perspective. Next slide, Scott. Now I'm going to show you one roadmap.
Frank, before you go on.
Yeah.
So given the breadth of products you support in the Oracle family,
yeah,
is the Oracle side of Rimini much more organizationally complex? But contrast a little bit to, you must need a lot more skills.
Oh, well, yes, yeah, because there's so many different applications and so many different things you've got to know. So we've built out our support organization to take that in mind, and we have support engineers that have a ton of knowledge across a broad base, and then specialists in particular areas like Endeca, for example, or Primavera or Agile. It just depends on the product and the services. But that's one of the great things about coming to Rimini Street, is that people are not typically running one Oracle application. They're running, 15, 20, some people hundreds of different applications. And when we go into these global accounts that literally have 1,000 different things, we're one of the few companies that can really scale and then bring the right engineer to the right ticket. And that's where our AI product comes in. So it can read the ticket, take a look at it, look at the skills of the engineer, make a suggestion within 30 seconds on who the right engineer is for that ticket, and then get that person on the phone to actually, start handling a problem. That make more sense?
Yep.
All right. Now I wanted to just kind of dive a little bit at a high level. If you were talking any application, they would all have a kind of a roadmap like this, Vinnie. Oracle has 3 tiers of support, right? Sustaining, where you're not getting any updates. You can call Oracle and get help, but the only help you're going to get is, oh, we fixed that in this release, and you probably need to upgrade if you want to fix that. We're not going to backport that necessarily, or we're not going to fix that from that perspective. Now, they will sometimes make an exception if they think they did something really bad, but 99.9% of the time, you're on your own if you're on sustaining support. You're also not getting tax, legal, and reg, and you're not getting security updates on sustaining, which is a big thing for most companies that want to stay supported or want to stay current. At Rimini Street, you're not limited. You can have come to us on sustaining support, and we'll provide security with our tools, and we'll provide tax, legal, and regulatory updates to keep you compliant from that perspective. And then there's a second tier that is called Extended, which is similar to their Premier offering, but it's typically, they give an extra year or so for a particular product before it goes to sustaining, just to make sure that you make that transition. But Oracle's always been very upfront that they want you to upgrade to the latest and greatest, because they're a technology company. And a lot of the things that they put in their products are technology oriented, not necessarily business oriented, like some other vendors, SAP, for example. And they're constantly changing the technology stack. So it can be very, very costly to stay current on Oracle applications just when you're updating a technology stack, because Oracle wants you to stay certified on an operating system, or they want you to add a new capability that they're going to put in the software 5 years from now, but they're laying the foundation of it in the technology stack now to kind of take advantage of it. And then lastly, you get to what they call Premier support, which is the support that people normally expect. I think it's funny that they always go, this is the premier support. Well, that's what I expect. I expect that you'll answer my question in a timely manner. I expect that you'll provide me an update if I need it. I expect that I'll get tax, legal, and regulatory updates, and I expect that I'll be, able to have my system that be secure. We only get that if you're on premier support, and you have to stay pretty current to maintain your premier support status. That's kind of the key. Now, Oracle doesn't have a deadline for people to move to their SaaS products, primarily because I think they realize that they're not ready on the SaaS side, that there's a lot of functionality that currently exists on these on-prem products that's just not available in the cloud. So they want to give a longer window. So they themselves, like Rimini Street, who's been talking about hybrid for more than 10 years, now have kind of taken a kind of a hybrid approach, but their version of hybrid is kind of different. They've invented something called Applications Unlimited, which means that they will continue to support your Oracle applications for the next 10 years. They got this 10-year kind of a rolling window that they're using. And they just recently, and within the last month or so, I think extended that out to 2035. Did not get a chance to update that slide. But that being said, their primary thing that they would like their clients to do is migrate to their hosting center.
Sure.
And then while they're in their hosting center, they'll provide the interoperability to everything that's Oracle from a cloud perspective and basically keep all the money for themselves. All right. They want to have a very closed architecture, everything Oracle. And honestly, I started working at Oracle in the 1990s and through the year 2000 and into the 2000s. It's kind of interesting. Oracle has always had that philosophy that they want everything to be Oracle, no matter what it is. It started with EBS because they wanted to make the EBS tool the thing for all people, and they put it. I think it has 150 different modules, believe it or not, from an ERP perspective, which is just incrable. And now they've got that same philosophy. Yeah.
In fairness, OCI has made a fair amount of progress in the last 3 or 4 years, right? I mean, there's still a distant, in the hyperscaler game, there's distant fifth still, behind.
Yeah, they're not leading. They're making some progress. You got to give them that. We've actually got Rimini clients on OCI. Did you know that? It's a really interesting thing that they came to us, dropped their support, and then went to infrastructure as a service on OCI, where they could be hosted. And now they're on OCI on Rimini support, and getting the best from a hyperscaler perspective that they can from an Oracle applications perspective. But our motto is always independence, right? We've got most of our clients are either still on-prem because they see the value of that, or they've moved to a Microsoft Azure and they're running on a Microsoft Azure, or they moved databases and applications to AWS and even Google Cloud. We've got a multitude of clouds involved on the Oracle side. There's no just one answer for sure. Next slide. So here is kind of our smart roadmap that we've always talked about. The vendor dictated roadmap, where you do everything that the vendor sells and buys. In this instance, it would be everything red under the Oracle banner. Continue to maintain your support. And going back to that thing I was just talking about, Premier, even within Applications Unlimited, you have to perform upgrades.
Right.
You've got to remain pretty current on your Oracle support to the latest version. I believe they're on version 13 or so now. And they require you to be on version 8 to be on Premier support. So you got to be like within 5 updates, or you'll drop back to sustaining support and no longer be getting updates. So that's driving still a lot of cost. It's the same model where you're doing upgrades all the time. You're spending a lot of money. You're having to do a full end-to-end testing on everything you do just because you apply a single update. And it becomes very, very expensive. In Oracle, that's just the way the Oracle model works versus our model in third-party support, whereas you can stay on the current version you are. We provide those proprietary tools, many of them that are also patented, that help with the friction on the operating system side, or the friction that you have when you have different browsers or things change, from that perspective. And we are independent, and we are, really highly support a lot of the customers that do a transition. For example, a lot of the HCM clients on the Oracle side have transitioned to Workday, right? That's not a bad word for Rimini Street. Rimini Street actually runs Workday internally. We definitely support that model from a Workday perspective. And we can help clients get from where they are today to where they want to be. As a matter of fact, I think our newest tagline is we can get you there from an Oracle perspective. And many clients have come to us, we call it gap support, from period that they're on our support to they're actually moving to another product. But that's a wonderful strategy for CIOs to maintain support, take the savings that they get from moving off of Oracle support, cut that in half and stop doing updates, which maybe gives them up to 70% in total savings, and apply that savings to this new HCM or this new tool, whatever they're bringing up, CRM tool, could be Salesforce, to help that actually pay for it, for the money and the savings that they're getting. Once they've done that transition, they move to what we call archival support, and we will maintain that system for them, because no one, you remember, Vinnie, in any ERP, no one moves all their data, right? You usually take 1 year or maybe 2 years worth of data, and then the rest of the data you have to maintain for 5 or 10 or however many years for compliance purposes, so that you can look things up and you can provide reports. Well, Rimini Street will support systems in an archival mode. I'm not even sure that everybody understands how important that is, for up to 15 years if you need it from that perspective. Next slide, Scott. All right. The Oracle support model is now what they call continuous updates. They went from a model that was an update every 3 to 5 years, big bang, apply all your patches like everybody had in the ERP market, to now lots of small patches. Cumulatively, over a 5-year period is exactly the same thing. The patches are somewhat optionable. You can skip one and then they're cumulative from that perspective. But the associated cost of applying those patches from a cost savings perspective is exactly the same. Nothing's changed in that way. What people really have to ask themselves, and this is where it's getting much harder for clients these days to really do it, is they got to ask themselves, what's my return on my investment really for doing an upgrade, even more so on the Oracle side, and what am I getting really in value from that? So I've done a little bit of research, and I can say with some knowledge based on the public information that Oracle puts out, there's really kind of putting it into 3 areas. They're kind of helping clients with portals, little dashboards that you could build yourself, quite frankly. They're investing more in the mobile side, because mobile keeps changing. And if you're using Oracle's mobility tool, you've got to have a new version every time there's a new phone, right? Or your mobile app no longer works. So they continue to provide that, even though it's not got a real high adoption for folks, but they continue to provide updates to their mobile products that they do. And then lastly, this interoperability play that I talked about earlier, which is really only of value if you've moved to their cloud infrastructure and you're trying to bring all of these other SaaS applications to bear and be supported from an interoperability side. Now, contrast that to Rimini Street, all right? At Rimini Street, first of all, interoperability is included in your support. You're going to lower your support costs by up to 70%, but we're going to do interoperability support on everything that you run that connects to your ERP, all right? And that means you can open a ticket with us. We'll look at the interface of the data that's going back and forth. We may not own that interface or be able to fix it, but we can identify a problem from a root cause perspective and get on the phone with that vendor and the client and talk through how we're going to get that fixed, from an interoperability perspective. Mobility is something that everybody is challenged with, right? Today, most of the applications that are available will run on your iPad or will run on your iPhone in kind of native mode. But the only time that you really need a mobility app is if you're disconnected from the ERP or you don't have internet, all right? HR is a great example of that, time entry. I'm going to put my time into a system, but I'm not connected, and then I want to upload my time a little later on. Well, there's 100 different better tools for doing that than trying to use the Oracle specific application for that and paying for it, which is, if you look at the cost of what you're getting versus what you can get with a mobility tool, which has a whole lot more flexibility, that we would help you and recommend. There's a lot more benefit to that. And then lastly, if you've got an aging UI, then maybe it's not compatible with today's tools and things, and you can't display it on your iPad or your iPhone, and you want to enable mobility or just want to have a refreshed look of your older ERP. Our consulting group is starting to actually run a business, taking some of these no-code, low-code applications and reskinning the application in such a way that it will work and look like a fresh, brand new application, even though the core underneath it is still the same application that they may have been running for the last 10 years. And people, I got to tell you, Vinnie, people love that because it's a low entry point to get in. They can choose the different things and forms that they want to move for somebody to use. We've got a university that was running some software from PeopleSoft that have used us to reskin the entire application from a student perspective and built, basically student things that they can do from an ERP perspective and put that information directly in from their cell phones. Because we all know today's generation, that's all they use is a cell phone. They don't get on a computer that much, unless they are trying to write a paper, I suppose, from that perspective. not like us older guys, that's all we had back in the day. One other last thing here. I know I'm going long and I'll wrap. One more.
I was going to say, nowadays people want to protest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't get me started. I want to say just one last thing here. We do offer managed services for everything that we do from an Oracle perspective, which I think is great. We've got managed services for Agile, managed services for Hyperion, managed services for Oracle EBS, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, managed services for Oracle Database, middleware, just about everything that Oracle we support today, we offer managed services for. We're different than the other managed services providers. We're not doing based on a per ticket basis. We have an unlimited model in the way that we do it. We bring managed services and support much closer together. We have a single portal for somebody to put in one ticket, whether it's a support ticket or a managed services ticket. We've got actual engineers that are assigned to the particular client in a dedicated way. We're not doing what a lot of other people are doing, or sharing people from multiple different places. And every time they come on a new one, they got to learn that environment. We give a very personalized view of what the managed services is with a single point of contact for L4 and managed services kind of across the whole market. And you'll see, we've branded this new name Rimini One when you bring support and managed services together, and we're starting to use it out there in the marketplace. And we've had a number of press releases of places where we've done it, even for things like Siebel. People think Siebel has gone away. Some of the biggest financial institutions in the world are still running Siebel because it gives them something that they can't get on Salesforce. And they're turning to us, first of all, to run their system, and then secondly, to manage it because we do that better than anyone. And we have the expertise. Where are you going to go and find Siebel resources today? It's not at Rimini Street from that perspective. Last slide, I think, Scott. Keep saying that.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it. All right. Thanks, Vinnie, for your time. Did that make sense?
It gave me a headache listening to all the SAP and Oracle idiosyncrasies, but no, this is very good. Thank you for the update.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hopefully we'll do it again. I want to stay more current, I guess.
Absolutely. Don't wait another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, we won't.
Absolutely, Vinnie. Hey, thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, it's good to catch up.
Thank you.